Well, let's stay with the issue of substance abuse in Gauteng and the interventions then announced out of the Premier's office of a substance abuse program that has been launched by Premier Panyaza Lesufi. Premier, good evening to you. Thanks for your time. So I think within the last month you were in the seat talking about how you are basically embarking on a process to get a sense of what it is that communities need when it comes to assisting their young people that are battling substance abuse. You've now launched the program. Tell us more about it, the rollout. How much is the Gauteng government going to be spending on this program?
Cathy, thanks for the opportunity. We are not in a competition with anyone. We are providing and helping and in a situation that is devastating our communities. Actually, we stand here with a generation that can be wiped out completely by drugs. And there were systems before. And the mere fact that the problem is galloping unchallenged, it's quite clear that some of the systems were not functional. And our coming in was to strengthen both systems and not to change or challenge or undermine or also point anything to any system. And what we did, we said we are opening our offices. We opened a call center, and almost 60,000 parents called. They raised their hands to say, we need help. And those call centers are meant by professionals, so it's not just you take a massive thing, as the previous person indicated. 24 hours social workers, trained, skilled people in the particular sector, assess each and every individual and each and every stage where the individuals are affected, and on the basis of that, then they will advise the ones that need either to go to accommodation-based or residential-based, those that are outpatient, those that must go to hospital for medical assistance, and those that must go to rehab, and those that must go to mental institutions because they are at a different stage. So it's not a one-club-fits-all. After the analysis, yesterday we took the first group that was going to residential, 6,700 of the 60,000 calls, and we spread them across all the centers across the province. We've not taken them to one farm. Indeed, some are in a farm in Tswana. And they've been assessed, given medical support and all other related matters that we need to do. So we also, part of the launch yesterday, we also launched the skills part, because there's a possible relapse and people can go through, and then what happens if they finalize the course and other things. We also launched, there are 3 areas that we are training them on solar panels, fixing the solar panels, including the new energy-saving mechanisms. Then we're teaching them on how to apply for jobs in terms of computer skills, and also taking them through the bricklaying, engineering part of it. So it's an integrated hybrid process of our interventions.
It's a multi-pronged approach in as far as giving them the assistance they need in terms of, the substance abuse element, but also trying to upskill them to ensure that they might be able to take advantage of different opportunities. The last time we spoke, you hadn't even set aside a budget for this program.
No, we do.
How much are you going to be spending on it?
Well, the department have their own budget. We are just reprioritizing. We're not bringing new money. That is why we said we didn't have a budget. We're not bringing new money. The current appropriated budget of all our centers, either hospitals, mental institutions, and psychosocial institutions, we've taken those budgets and concentrated them. So I don't have the figure out of my head, but it's quite a substantial budget that can respond to these challenges.
So I'm assuming that this would have been money that goes towards these centers to assist in their running and in their upkeep. What happens to that?
Well, we keep the money. We just that we've reprioritized on these aspects. There might be other programs that we felt that they've reached their peak. There might be some institutions that either we're sponsoring that either they've closed down or they're no longer prioritizing certain programs that government needs. There might be some cooperatives that feel that on the basis of the intervention of government, they are now fine, they can stand on their own. So we reprioritized all those budgets to target this particular program.
When can we get a consolidated view in terms of the numbers? And
I think it is
because it's also around sustainability of a project like this nature. You know, you talked about 60,000 people that reached out already. Yeah. 6,700 is, of course, just marginal in the context of that figure.
Remember, the law says that the person that you must take to the rehab or residential must concur. So in some instances, you find that the calls we've received are calls from people, from families that feel that this person must go, and the person says, no, I don't want to go. And you can't force that person. That's why we left just numbers. But because there was no platform countrywide on such an intervention program, we got calls from Northern Cape, Western Cape, in other provinces that they want to be part of this particular program. Obviously, we can't carry those numbers. We are Gauteng-based, and therefore we must provide support to people of Gauteng.
You heard some of the concerns raised by Darylene James, who, of course, would be speaking or representing her own community. But there is a question about the impact of a project of this nature in communities if there's no additional support. So if some of the things that enable drug infestation in communities to take place are not dealt with, it's almost recreating a vicious cycle.
I'm not in a business of finger pointing and blaming anyone. I'm in a business of bringing everyone under one roof and deal with these things. I went to that community. I spent a day, almost a day with that community, and I spent an evening with the entire community of the area, and people expressing the views that they're expressing. Unfortunately, these views were not expressed, but if people will forum shop, when they're in this particular forum, they say this, when they're in another forum, they say another thing. It becomes very difficult to track their concerns. But whoever wants to guide, advise, counsel, and contribute to the success of saving our children will be the first one to appreciate and accept.
But to the extent that I think it's widely acknowledged that we have a growing drug problem in the country, including in Gauteng, there are hotspot communities that bear the brunt of that, and police are not really making great strides in having or bringing it under control. What then do you see the role of a project like this playing if all of these other elements that, again, enable the presence of drugs in our communities are still rife to the extent that they are?
Cathy, I'm dictated by saying a nation or a society that does not take its youth and children serious does not deserve its future. This is our future. And I can't postpone protecting that future because police are not doing their work. I can't postpone protecting their future because someone who's selling drugs is not arrested. I can't postpone the future and the need to educate, protect those children because a certain community is not happy with our intervention program. I think it would be irresponsible. We will do what we can do on the basis of the resources, our capabilities, and our skill and our talent to safeguard that particular future. We are talking about a generation is about to be wiped out. I had an opportunity to meet those young people yesterday. I'm still emotionally drained. It's a bad situation. So to finger point and start to blame other people who are assisting to eliminate the problem, I don't think it assists. Let's bring everyone who can assist, their talent, their ideas, deposit them, find a way of dealing with it. We are accused that we must have a bottom-up. A bottom-up means going to that community. My first mission when I was appointed the Premier was to go to that community, meet with the service providers, meet with the community itself, meet with the organization, and they deposited their ideas. And we consolidated their ideas and incorporated them in this particular program. But if they want to criticize us because the best must only come from them, we'll also appreciate that.
How are you going to be running this program in terms of the cycles and the uptake of young people?
Well, it will be naive to think that there might not be challenges because we're changing the tech. Because you can't do the same thing and expect better results. Reality is that people have been doing the same thing time and again. But the numbers are increasing of learners that are hooked. So it's integrated in many things. For example, this December, because we have to ensure that there's no boredom during holidays for our children, because that's when they taste these drugs. We have to ensure that there are sporting activities, poetry, they can watch movies at community centers. So we will unveil our December program to ensure that we push back those that take advantage of our children. We are putting up the skills component of it now, so that those that are out of rehabilitation can be given the necessary skills and support. We are also unleashing our skills development program in terms of issuing bursaries now, because there are some people that if you issue bursaries by January, they think that, no, my future is gone, so let me indulge in other things. So it's integrated. It's not about taking them to a certain area and leaving them there. There are sports stars that came, there are key NGOs that want to partner with us. There are international bodies as well. They've seen our program. They feel that they can also assist us, medication and many other things.
So how long will each cycle be running for? So these 6,700 that are currently at your facilities, how long will they be there for?
It's very difficult because they're at various stages. You can't say you entered here together, then you leave here out. There are others that are at an advanced stage. There are others who are at the beginning. There are others that graduated even on last, because we announced and took people. So we're not waiting for an intake on a certain day and other thing. As people call after being assessed, they are then given the immediate assistance. Because you can't call and say, my child is about to die, and say, no, the intake is in January, wait until January. No. We intervene there and then. And since we have made this announcement, there are those that are even getting out of the rehab. And there are those, because they were at the early stage, the teams managed to assist them. There are those that are now in technical skills centers where we are teaching them various skills. So it's not that when there is the next intake and when will the 6,000 graduate, another thing, because they are at different stages and at different levels, and there are those that can be assisted within a week. There are those that need assistance for a longer period, and because they differ.
All right. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi, will have to leave it there for tonight. And of course, it's on the newly launched program, as you heard, to help youngsters in the province who are battling substance abuse.